Former President and soon-to-be Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump was convicted last week on 34 felony charges in a hush money incident that took place ahead of the 2016 presidential election. Newspaper headlines screamed Trump guilty on all counts, and media reports relied on superlatives such as historic and unprecedented to label the unanimous jury verdict. Given that Trump has been unusually adept at avoiding accountability for a staggering number of alleged crimes, the verdict caused shockwaves. And here to comment on it is one of my go-to guests on this topic, Brettschneider. He's a professor of political science at Brown University, where he teaches constitutional law and political theory. His writings have appeared in the New York Times, Politico, the Washington Post, and more. And he's got many books out, including The Oath and the Office, A Guide to the Constitution for Future Presidents, When the State Speaks, What Should It Say? How Democracies Can Protect Expression and Promote Equality, Democratic Rights, The Substance of Self-Government, and his latest book, which is out in early July, called The Presidents and the People, 5 Leaders Who Threatened Democracy and the Citizens Who Fought to Defend It. Welcome back to the program, Corey.
Thanks so much, Sonali, and I'm honored to be a go-to guest.
Well, let's talk about what happened. It just felt so earth-shattering last week when these guilty verdicts were announced, simply because Trump has, Teflon Don has managed to slip through every kind of sort of legal attempt at holding him accountable. Were you as surprised as the rest of the nation?
I wasn't. I mean, I thought this judge was doing a terrific job. I thought that Alvin Bragg's team seemed extremely professional, and I guess I was trusting that you really don't do this unless, as a career prosecutor, as people in that office, many of them are some of the best prosecutors in the country, they're not going to move forward unless they're sure that they have it. And they know what New York juries are like. They know what kind of evidence they have to present. And I just didn't see them moving forward. So, there was a lot of speculation. Did they have this idea? We could talk about the fact that there was speculation about the fact that it's a misdemeanor to falsify business records, but it has to be in the service of a felony. And could they show that complicated thing? And my thought was, in a way, we're all outsiders. The prosecutors preparing the case really knew what they had, and certainly we saw it. And plus, I just, having watched and talked about and commented and written about Trump for so long, I know how careless he is. So my thought was there just must be so much evidence against him and a trail of people who are so angry at him. And then finally, Michael Cohen was, convicted for the same thing. They had him as a cooperating witness. So I thought that too is all the reason why this is likely to be a guilty verdict.
There was some sense that the prosecution did something that hadn't been done before and that these charges were for crimes that were often not seen as seriously, as serious felonies, that maybe there was a little bit of trickery, or let's say creativity at best, to ensnare Trump. What do you make of these judgments?
Well, I do think that of the 4 cases that he's facing, this is the least serious, but I'll add to that, it's very serious. And other people, including Michael Cohen, were prosecuted for exactly the same thing. In fact, in Michael Cohen's case, it was really the same crime, exactly. So there's a question of fairness. I mean, if they were going after Cohen, maybe you could argue that was unjust. It seemed only fair to go after Trump. We have 2 cases about the insurrection of January 6th. We have a case about the violation of the Espionage Act and the taking of records even after multiple requests to give them back. So this isn't on that level. I mean, the January 6th is really a threat directly to democracy. But I thought that, as we started to learn about the case here, he was not just falsifying business records to save money on taxes. He was trying to do that in order to consciously subvert campaign finance laws more generally. And so if you think of it that way, it is part and parcel of a mentality that the law doesn't apply to him and that the laws of democracy certainly don't apply to him. So I think that makes it very serious on its own. On the question of its uniqueness, I saw that criticism a lot. It rests on the idea, you could always make something seem unique the more you get into the nitty-gritty details of this specific case. Has there ever been a presidential candidate who falsified business records in a catch and kill scheme involving a pornography star and his attempt to hide an affair with her, or a sexual encounter, I should say, not an affair with her? No, but that's because I just described that with an extreme level of specificity. Are there cases about falsification of business records in the furtherance of a felony? Yes, there are cases like that. So I think, at the proper level of abstraction, it's not unique or a weird theory at all.
Everything now depends on Judge Juan Merchan, who will be sentencing Trump on July 11th. First of all, Merchan himself, like Alvin Bragg, has faced death threats, has faced an enormous amount of scrutiny, and I can't imagine what that pressure must be like to have the entire nation in a very polarized climate examining your every word that comes out of your mouth or your facial expression. You mentioned Alvin Bragg, but what about Judge Merchan? What do you make, first of all, of his conduct during the trial? And what do you think he will do? Because he is the only person now who gets to decide whether Trump goes to prison or not.
I thought he was an extraordinary judge, and experts who are watching the details are saying the same thing. But I guess what I'd focus on is, look, he had a defendant who was openly attacking him and was not just had part of the country supporting the Trump supporters throughout the country, challenging him as a political hack and somebody who wasn't doing justice. But he had the defendant incentivizing that and tweeting in a way. And so how do you balance the fact that you don't want to just imprison him and inflame the situation worse, and you can't let him get away with it? I thought, the warnings about the gag rule, and then the fact that there was some minimal penalty, financial penalty, all of that was so carefully crafted and balanced, and he really kept his cool in the midst of a lot of chaos.
So, what do you think will happen? And give us a sense of the least punishment Trump will face and the most. I believe 4 years in prison is the most he could face. That's the maximum sentence, and each offense carries a 4-year sentence. But it's thought that he's likely to be able to serve those concurrently.
In terms of the details, there's a part, and we can talk about the bigger picture here, but there's a sense that maybe he should be given special treatment because, and in fact, people are calling for his pardoning from the governor of
But
New
that's all
York.
he's ever received, a special treatment.
Yeah, his forgiveness. And I just don't see it. I think this judge is really going to do things by the book, and what he's supposed to look at in questions of sentencing within the range, because he's already been found guilty by a jury, is, does he show remorse? Is he someone who has, are there extenuating circumstances? And here there are aggravating circumstances, not circumstances that would suggest lowering the penalty, not mitigating circumstances, including the fact that, far from remorse, he's just on a tour of denouncing this as a political trial. So rather than owning up to what we know he did, which was commit this felony, falsify the business records in furtherance of a felony, and therefore is guilty of a felony, he's railing against the justice system as a whole. And to my mind, the worst thing that could happen would be forgiveness of any kind. That he really should be held into account. Certainly some prison time to send a symbol that if you and to make an example of the fact that if you so openly flout the rule of law as he has, you're going to be held to account.